When TXT first debuted, many assumed they would easily enjoy the perks of being BTS juniors. But the reality was very different, as the members later revealed shocking stories from their trainee days, including being physically punished for even the smallest mistakes. First up, TXT's schedule over the past few years has been non-stop, and it really highlights just how poorly BigHit Entertainment managed and mistreated them. Right after finishing promotions for Good Boy Gone Bad in May 2022, the group jumped straight into preparing for their tour that kicked off in July. So from July until the end of October, they were on the road performing non-stop while also flying out for major stages like Lollapalooza and Summer Sonic in August. On top of that, they were already getting ready for year-end festivals, award shows, and another album release. And that wasn't even everything, since in between, they still filmed their weekly variety show To Do, posed for endless photo shoots, sat through interviews, and attended global award ceremonies like the AMAs. By January 2023, instead of slowing down, they were back promoting Sugar Rush Ride. Right after those stages wrapped, preparations began immediately for their next world tour, which launched in March 2024. These were only the headline activities, but even just looking at those, it was clear how much pressure they were under. Fans especially started voicing concerns during their aforementioned third world tour, Act Promise, when the toll became impossible to ignore. Soobin, who had already looked worn out during the opening shows, pushed through until his body gave out and he collapsed on stage. He later sat out activities in November after being hospitalized, with BigHit confirming he was advised to rest due to health issues. The strain wasn't limited to him either. For example, during a live stream, Taehyun admitted that rehearsing for the US leg of the tour had left him sick and emotionally drained. He shared how he broke down alone in his room one night, feeling overwhelmed with sadness and frustration. Yeonjun, watching the stream, left a comment revealing that Taehyun had even been practicing while running a fever as high as 39 degrees Celsius. What was meant to highlight his commitment only left fans horrified that he was still being pushed to perform despite being that unwell. By the time TXT's tour hit the US, the signs of burnout were already clear. Right after their Oakland concert on May 18th, Hyun Kai went live and casually mentioned that he had fainted once the show ended. He laughed it off, but fans were deeply worried, and understandably so. Just a few days later in Los Angeles, Bombgu suddenly had a nosebleed on stage, fueling even more concern that the group was being pushed past their limits. As the months went on, things only got worse. By September, the exhaustion had reached a breaking point. Soobin admitted on Weverse that he was so drained he couldn't even finish a proper meal because chewing and swallowing felt like too much effort. Around that time, fans also discovered from the members themselves that the tour preparation had been almost impossible to handle. They were expected to learn new stage directions and choreography in a ridiculously short period, all while promoting their latest album on music shows and flying overseas. Taehyun even said he doubted that the amount of training crammed into their schedule was physically achievable. On top of that, they were dealing with old and ongoing health issues, Yeonjun's back pain from a herniated disc that had troubled him since 2019, Bombgu's recurring shoulder problems, and the constant stress that weighed them down. With everything piling up, it wasn't surprising that fans started pleading with the company to finally give the members a proper break. What many didn't realize was that TXT's struggles stretched back long before their debut, with stories from their trainee years only coming to light much later. In September 2023, during what was meant to be a casual Weverse live stream, Soobin, Taehyun, and Yoon Kai ended up sharing stories from the past that, while told half-jokingly, revealed how tough things had really been when they were still kids training to become idols. Soobin recalled one particular memory after stumbling upon old trainee photos from 2017 while attending the VMAs. The picture showed him and the others completely knocked out from exhaustion, which he admitted made him feel sad looking back on it. From there, the livestream turned into a string of confessions, each one showing just how difficult those years had been. One of the memories Soobin shared was about the diet restrictions he had to follow. At the time, their lives were so closely monitored that there was barely any privacy. The only space without a CCTV camera was a single room with a window, and that became the one place he could escape for a moment. One day, unable to handle the hunger anymore, he rushed out to a convenience store, bought some kimbap and drinks, and sneaked back into that room. To avoid suspicion, he pretended to be studying while secretly eating, but then he suddenly felt like someone was watching him. When he turned around, he realized a rookie development team staff member had caught him in the act. Remembering it, Soobin admitted that at the time it wasn't funny at all. He was on a strict diet, struggling to cope, and being discovered in that moment left him shaken, saying it gave him goosebumps just thinking about it. Life in the dorms during during TXT's trainee period wasn't just strict because of diets, as the actual living conditions themselves were shocking. As the members revealed back then, the environment was so neglected that it was genuinely unsafe to stay there. Soobin remembered the basement where they used to practice, describing how the ventilator and air conditioner had both broken down. With no proper ventilation, moisture built up, and the floor became so damp that mushrooms literally started sprouting out of it. If that wasn't bad enough, this wasn't the only time the members brought up the unsafe condition of their living and working spaces. Months before that, during a live stream in March, Beomgyu and Taehyun had shared another memory about the old BigHit building. They recalled seeing a massive yellow growth sticking out of the wall. At first, Taehyun thought it was some kind of sponge because of its color, but after looking closer, he realized it was actually a mushroom. He pulled it out right away, but what unsettled them most was that just 3 days later, the same mushroom had grown back in the exact same spot. In fact, the conditions in the old BigHit building were so bad that calling them unsafe would almost be an understatement. The damp practice rooms caused endless problems, and one of the most frustrating ones was how quickly the mirrors fogged up. With no proper equipment to clean them, the members had to wipe them down using nothing more than old newspapers. The only way to let air circulate was by opening the windows, but doing that in the middle of winter after hours of sweating left them vulnerable to getting sick. Looking back, Soobin admitted that during those years, he often found himself resenting the company and even the trainers who oversaw them. At the same time, he added that it was such an extreme environment that, in a strange way, it became a once-in-a-lifetime experience he knew they'd never forget. But the worst part of the building wasn't even the mushrooms growing on the floors or walls. According to Taehyun, there were rooms inside where faulty wiring created what they jokingly referred to as electric shock rooms. He remembered being injured in one of them, and another time he made the mistake of touching a broken extension cord in the dorms. The shock was so severe it could have ended in tragedy if older trainees hadn't been there to pull him away in time. As if the crumbling practice rooms and unsafe dorms weren't already hard enough to deal with, the treatment trainees received from their instructors added a whole different kind of pressure. Taehyun explained that evaluation days were especially tough on him because no matter what he did, the response was always negative. If he tried to interpret a song in his own way, he'd be scolded for straying from the expected version. But when he adjusted and sang it exactly like the original, instead of being acknowledged, he was told there was no point in listening to him if he sounded just like the artist who released the song in the first place. It left him stuck in a situation where he couldn't win either way. One of the most disturbing stories about TXT's trainee years didn't surface until recently, and like many others, it came directly from the members themselves. During a Weverse livestream, which happened on August 16th, Soobin began reflecting on his early days in the company and ended up sharing something that shocked fans. He explained that when he and Taehyun had just joined, both still in school, more specifically Soobin in 10th grade and Taehyun in 8th, they were suddenly told to learn an advanced 17 choreography and perform it. The catch was that they were given no proper guidance, no teacher walking them through the basics. Instead, they were expected to watch a video and copy the moves entirely on their own, despite the fact that they had only been dancing for a week or two. They even slowed the video down to half speed and tried imitating what they saw, but without any foundation in dance, Soobin admitted that even stretching his arms properly felt impossible at the time. While Soobin was telling the story, Taehyun left a comment in the chat that made the whole situation even more unsettling. He revealed that back then, trainees could actually be hit during lessons. According to him, the older trainees stepped in to help the two of them, which meant they weren't punished as harshly, but others who struggled more with the choreography weren't as fortunate. Soobin confirmed this, recalling that there were several trainees who had an even harder time than him and Taehyun and ended up being hit more often. He finished by saying that things are different now, explaining that practices like that are no longer allowed within the company. He said, "They had physical punishments back then, but if they physically punish someone now, they'd get in huge trouble," telling the people who wanted to try for the company that they shouldn't be scared off because of the stories. When fans reacted to Soobin's story, many admitted that while it was deeply upsetting, it didn't shock them. Practices like this have long been whispered about and talked about by the people in the industry and even outside of it, so hearing it directly from an idol only confirmed what people already suspected. The fact that Soobin himself spoke about it in such a casual tone almost highlighted how normalized it had been, which made it even more disturbing. Still, just because something was common didn't make it any less horrifying. People pointed out how cruel the staff and managers must have been to treat children that way. These trainees were teenagers living far from home, placed entirely in the care of adults who were supposed to guide them, yet instead they were put through unnecessary fear and humiliation. The way it was described made some believe that the staff almost seemed to take pleasure in holding power over kids who couldn't defend themselves. What made it worse was how deliberately the situation was set up for failure. These kids had little to no dance background, yet they were thrown into an advanced choreography, told to figure figure it out by watching a video and given no real direction. Whether the staff planned it this way or not, the outcome was obvious. They would struggle, and once they did, it became an excuse to punish them. Even if corporal punishment had been normalized back then, the fact that adults went out of their way to create those circumstances made the whole thing feel even more twisted. One user put it best when they said, "Hitting them because they couldn't perfect something that wasn't even taught to them is genuinely so cruel." Not everyone immediately believed that corporal punishment had truly ended at the company. Some fans questioned Soobin and Taehyun's reassurance, wondering if they were softening the truth to protect the company's image. These theories, of course, remain just speculation, and there's no way to confirm them. What most fans could do after hearing these stories was hope that the staff members responsible for those harsh practices were no longer part of the company and that they would never be in a position to harm trainees again.